All right, if you have a bed and you do not want to buy box springs and you are in need of some do-it-yourself slats, hopefully this video can help you out. We're going to be upcycling this wooden pallet, saving you huge money. You can obviously go out and buy bed slats like this on the market, but it's going to cost you, right? So for about $5, we're going to take this old pallet and make some do-it-yourself slats for a twin bed. Now you'll want to measure, obviously, the length of the wood pallets are about 40 inches, and that, of course, is pretty much the perfect width for a twin bed. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. If you have anything bigger, maybe this doesn't help you out, or you can get creative and use a different part of the actual wood pallet. So you can see the first step here is to actually take apart the wood pallet. We're looking at these cross sections. That's what I'm interested in. Again, these are 40 inches, so I don't have to cross cut anything. Now, instead of prying them up, if you have a multi-tool, you can actually go under there and just cut the nails, slide it right under like this. And just make sure you have a bi-metal blade on there to take care of those, and they just pop right off. But not everybody has a multi-tool, so you're going to get a crowbar. Hopefully you have, or the end of a hammer possibly. And I'm not going to lie, this is not exactly fun. You have to find the right pressure points, so to speak. In other words, you don't want it to lift right underneath the wood only. You want to get as close to the nail as possible and then lift. And it should pop right out. I started with one end and then went to the middle and then the other end, and obviously start with one side because it's hard to get that crowbar in between the slats like that. You can see it's pretty tight right there. So start with the end one and try to pick out a pallet that is actually in good condition. This one, the wood is good. It's a little dirty and mildewy, and we're actually going to be sealing this up because I don't want to bring this dirt and this mildewy stuff inside the home. This will be in my little girl's bedroom, so we're going to seal it up and basically trap all of that. If there's anything living in there, we're going to bleach it first and take care of that. So that'll be part of the process. Stay with me. But for now, you can see kind of how I'm approaching this. And they should just pry right out. Now we're going to be removing those nails as well, and there's a couple of different ways you could remove the nails. One would be if you have a kind of a metal clipper. By the way, there's a tire right there, so please be careful if you're doing this near a car. You want to account for each one that you snip off or cut off so that it doesn't end up puncturing a tire later. In other words, cut one, pick it up, find it, pick it up, and put it in a Tupperware container. So I've got this. This is more of a manual approach. Maybe you have a better pair of tools than I do, but you can definitely clip these nails off. But if you've got 3 nails on each side and you're taking the whole thing apart, that's going to be pretty hard on your hands and on your muscles. So if you've got a multi-tool, I'll show you another way if you don't have a multi-tool, but this is kind of the preferred way. Put a bimetal blade on there and you can just cut it off. It also ensures that it's flush with the surface of the wood, so no jagged edges. So I recommend that. And again, I know you might not have a multi-tool. If you don't have one, you should probably, make your own decision, of course, but consider getting one of these, adding it to your toolbox. It has a variety of uses. I made the plunge, spent about $70, $80 or so on one of these, and I use it for a variety of different projects. If you've not used a multi-tool, it's pretty cool. You can Google that. It has, like I said, a lot of very versatile addition to the toolbox. So you can see there we've got all those nails kind of cut off, the ends of them cut off, and everything else is just stays in there. So this is the bed frame that we're dealing with here. You saw that a little earlier, but the slats, after I make take the first one out and cut off the nail ends, I'm going to make sure that it does indeed fit. In fact, I've got 3 of them here that I'm just bringing up just to make sure I'm happy with that. They're 40-inch widths, and the lip upon which they sit on both ends, kind of 40.5, 40 and a half maximum. So it's pretty much a perfect fit, which is why I decided to go with a pallet. Another approach, if you don't have a multi-tool, turn them upside down and just pound them out with a hammer. Notice the orientation there. So the nail head side is down. And this is a little more manual too, depending on the condition of the nails. These ones popped right out. If they're straight, they're a little easier to pop out if they're straight. And they're not going to wiggle out by hand, so you'll need a a hammer, the end of a hammer, just like that, to finish the job. So a few different ways that you can handle those nails. One advantage of this way is that the nail head actually removes, as opposed to the multi-tool, which leaves the nail head embedded in the plank. So we're going to do that with all the planks, and now I've got them off. And I'm going to take some bleach solution, a little bit of bleach and water, and a soft bristle brush, and just kind of clean them up, wipe them down. This is going to help remove that outer layer, because we're going to seal them up with some primer and paint. So it's going to help with bonding, and also that bleach should. The idea is that it kind of neutralizes any mildew, pores, or spores, or anything that might be living on them. And we're going to just let that sit out in the sun, let it dry. And once that's all dried up, we're going to take some stain blocking primer. I just happen to have half a gallon or so lying around from an old project. And I'm going to paint that up. And the idea here is that it seals everything inside, right? So in the case that anything is, I'm not an expert. I'm just a DIYer here. And this is the theory behind it. If there's anything like mold or mildew spores living on this, then I don't want that being dispersed into the air, right? So sealing it up, not giving it any place to come out. So both sides, and the underside, the top, and all sides and ends are going to get a layer of this primer. So that's the idea. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? This stuff is it doesn't need to be visually perfect. I'm not going to sand it or anything. This is going to go under the bed. It will never be seen unless we actually move, right? So I'm going to let that dry, and then I've got a can of it just happens to be purple, because honestly, my daughter saw me or heard me talking about painting, and she wanted them to be purple, and we had a can of this lying around too. And this has primer built into it as well, so there's an additional layer of primer that's being applied here, and then paint. And if you want to do overkill, you could probably put some polyurethane on there and seal it up as well. But I'm confident that there's a good protective seal on these babies, and they're super sturdy, right? I mean, they chose this wood for a pallet for a reason. It's got to have a huge burden, a huge load, be able to withstand that. So the only difference is there's no brace in the middle, if that makes sense. Pallets have the brace every 20. They've got one right down the middle, whereas bed slats here do not. But the thickness and the width allows me. We're going to test it too. Do a little weight test here and make sure they're not bending or breaking. And I've got them about 4.5, 5 inches, and I have 9 of them total. You could probably do 10 if you wanted to feel a little more secure, but 9 pretty much did the job. And we'll go ahead and wrestle the mattress on here. Again, no box springs, right? This is the advantage. It sits a little lower, and we just saved some money not having to buy box springs. We bought this mattress online. It's a foam mattress. It kind of rolls up. Highly recommended, by the way. That's another story, I suppose. But yeah, here it is, positioned. Now the big question is, how well does it hold up to jumping on the bed and things that kids do, right? So here's a look at it, and I'm also gonna get on there as well. Yes, that is me, and we'll give it a good. Now I'm not jumping as high as I can, right, like a trampoline, but you can see it's holding pretty well. I am happy with this, and hopefully this has helped you out with your project ideas. Be sure to click that like button and subscribe to the channel for more do-it-yourself solutions. Thanks.